Yes, Mr. Chair. This evening, the inspirational moment will be delivered by our Chief Communications Officer, Libby Rue.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to do this. And I'm going to share a few passages from one of my favorite books. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. But for me, it's more of a book about how to remind myself to find joy every day and to give joy every day. So, one of the most neglected virtues of our daily existence is appreciation. So try leaving a friendly trail of little sparks of gratitude on your daily trips. You will be surprised how they will set small flames of friendship that will be rose beacons on your next visit. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Every man I meet is my superior in some way, in that I learn of him." If that was true of Emerson, isn't it likely to be 1,000 times more true of you and me? Let's cease thinking of our accomplishments and our wants. Let's try to figure out the other person's good points. Then forget flattery. Give honest, sincere appreciation. Be hearty in your approbation and lavish in your praise. And people will cherish your words and treasure them and repeat them over a lifetime. Repeat them years after you have forgotten them. The expression one wears on one's face is far more important than the clothes one wears on one's back. Actions speak louder than words. And a smile says, "I like you, you make me happy, and I'm glad to see you." Professor James McConnell at University of Michigan expressed his feelings about a smile, saying, "People who smile tend to manage, teach, and sell more effectively and to raise happier children. There's far more information in a smile than a frown. That's why encouragement is much more effective teaching device than punishment." The chairman of the board of a large rubber company said, "I have known people who succeed because they have a rip-roaring good time at work. Later, I saw those people change as the fun became work. The business had grown dull. They lost all joy in it, and they failed." Your smile is your messenger of goodwill. Your smile brightens the lives of all who see it. To someone who has seen a dozen people frown, scowl, or turn their faces away, your smile is like the sun breaking through the clouds, especially when that someone is under pressure from his bosses, his customers, his teachers, or his parents or children. A smile can help him realize that all is not hopeless, that there is joy in the world. Some years ago, a department store in New York ran a philosophy along with their advertisement during the busy holiday shopping season. It's called The Value of a Smile. It costs nothing, but it creates much. It enriches those who receive without impoverishing those who give. It happens in a flash, and the memory of it sometimes lasts forever. None are so rich that they can get along without it, and none are so poor but are richer for its benefits. It creates happiness in the home, fosters goodwill in a business, and is the countersign of friends. It is the rest to the weary, daylight to the discouraged, sunshine to the sad, and nature's best antidote for trouble. Yet it cannot be bought, begged, borrowed, or stolen, for it is something that no earthly good to anybody until it is given away. And if that last-minute rush of holiday buying, some of our salespeople should be too tired to give you a smile, may we ask that you leave one of yours. For nobody needs a smile so much as those who have none left to give. So with a smile, please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Libby, thank you. And hopefully y'all see a bunch of smiles from us up here as we get it back from y'all out there, so thank you. If we can now have the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I would like to move that we move item 10.1, SRO roles and impact, up to the next item on our agenda prior to the consent agenda.
All right, motion's been made by Mr. Plank. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Mackey. If there's no discussion, we'll have the vote at this time.
Not come up? Yes. Yes.
It's not coming up for
Jill.
me. Jill, we'll just do hand votes. It's
Yes.
not coming up. Oh,
Oh,
it's
it's right.
coming?
Oh, okay.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Oh, okay.
It
All right.
just,
There it
it
is.
just came up.
Okay.
Jill, are we missing anybody? Okay. All right, motion passes 7-0. So next on our agenda, Dr. Ham, the SROs.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're very fortunate to have Sheriff Leon Lott joining us this evening to make a presentation to the board regarding the SRO roles and their impact. And I want to welcome Sheriff Lott to the board meeting. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sheriff Lott, for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you for inviting me. I want to begin by saying it's been a pleasure to work with this board and the staff that you have. We've built a great relationship over the years, and whenever we have any challenges, those relationships really come to bear fruit because that helps us get through any challenges that we've got. And it's just been a joy to work with a lot of these people here and back here. A lot of them I call my friends. We're just not colleagues. I consider y'all to be our friends. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have such a successful SRO, School Resource Officer program, is because of the relationship that we've built for so many years. For the past 20 years, we've taken an SRO program, we've built it, we've changed it, and I'll have to brag and say I think we have the best in not only in this state but throughout the United States. And we are considered a role model when it comes to SRO program. We have 87 school resource officers, which is larger than the majority of police departments and sheriff's departments in this state. We dedicated ourselves some years ago to make sure that we had our schools covered, that our schools were safe for our kids to learn. It was a safe environment for our teachers and staff, school staff to be there, and I think we've accomplished that over the years, and it's been a partnership. That partnership is demonstrated in the fact that we both pay 50% to fund the SRO program. It's not placed on just y'all, the school district, to pay for it. We put that on the sheriff's department budget, so we split it half and half, and I think that shows the commitment that we have all got, and that's us in law enforcement and you with school district too, that you're committed to make sure that we do have safe schools and that our kids can learn at the level they should be learning. The School Resource Officer program has been existent with us for a little bit over 20 years. We've seen a lot of changes over these last 20 years, and we will continue to see changes. This is a program that's not one that you just establish and is set forever. It's something that constantly needs to be evaluated, constantly needs to be changed if it needs to be, and we do that in partnerships. Our officers and deputies are in these schools. They're there as partners with your principals, your school teachers, your staff, and we work together. It's a team effort. It's not us going in and saying what we're going to do. We have a memorandum of understanding that we've helped develop. It needed to be changed. We've now changed it, and the changes that were made with your MOU now are going to be used as a model for the other two school districts that we deal with, and I think probably throughout the state. As the task force on the schools we had last year, one of the things they looked at was the MOUs and having a standard one. And the one that we've developed, I think, is the standard one that they're going to recommend that everybody uses. Our officers are there in the schools to make sure that kids learn. The last thing that we want to do is make an arrest in a school. We also though, must realize that we do have people who come on campuses of our schools, and sometimes they're students who want to make bad decisions, and we have to address that. And we address that as a team. Our goal is, though, to keep them in school. That's why we've developed so many our youth arbitration program, and the diversionary programs that we've got are all designed to keep the kids in the school. Pretty much every child who makes a bad decision in the school that could end up in an arrest, we refer to our youth arbitration program. And that is to hold these young people accountable who's made bad decisions, but not penalize them the rest of their lives, not give them a criminal record, keep them out of the criminal justice system. So that's why almost 100% of those who could be arrested in schools, we refer to our youth arbitration program. We have a 92% success rate with our youth arbitration program. It is a model that is looked at by the Department of Justice and other law enforcement agencies and school districts on how to set up a diversionary program. Again, the goal is to hold a young person accountable, let them learn from their mistake that they made, but don't penalize them and don't get them in the criminal justice system. Our goal is to keep them out of going to the jail, keep them out of going to DJJ, and that's what we work so hard to do. We've expanded these programs. We're adding more people to our staff and our youth services. We're coming up with more diversionary programs every day. We want to expand it as much as we can. It started in a school, youth arbitration program, started in one school, then it went to one district, now it's district-wide, all 3 districts in Richland County, but we've also taken it out in the community. If one of your students goes to Best Buy and shoplifts a CD, and the officer responds after he's been caught by the store security, and we talk to that young person. We realize that this is the first mistake that they've made, that they're really a good kid who just made a bad mistake. They don't get arrested. They're allowed to go home with a parent, and then they're put in the youth arbitration program. Our youth arbitrators are citizens just like each of you sitting up there who's been through training. They sit there, they listen to the facts, they talk to the young person, they talk to the parents, and then they give them sanctions. And there's different sanctions they give them. That could be from writing letters of apologies to doing some volunteer service somewhere. But if they complete the sanctions, then the whole incident's forgotten about. They've never been arrested. And that's the goal, again, is to allow them to learn from that mistake. We have every one of our SROs that are trained to use that youth arbitration program. We want them to use that. And we refer those that we have to get involved with. We have redefined our roles as SROs in the schools. The MOU has been tweaked to where it now defines it even more what our roles is. Our role is there to be as a counselor, as a law enforcement officer, but just as a resource and as an educator to go in classes and teach classes. We want them to build a relationship, and we have done that through the years. We've had some SROs that have been in the same school for many years, and they've seen the kids come, and they've seen the kids be very successful. And I tell our SROs that, you know, a young person may not remember who their 4th grade math teacher was, but they're going to remember who your SRO was, or their DARE officer. And that's why they're so important, that they are such a good role model, and that they are always doing the right thing. In addition to the SROs, we have SRO/DARE officer, drug abuse resistance education, that we teach in all your elementary schools in the 5th grade, where we have the DARE officers go in, and I think it's probably a 10-week curriculum that they teach them. And people say the DARE program might not be successful. I challenge anybody who says that to go to a DARE graduation and listen to the essays that these kids write, and you watch the excitement on these kids' face. Again, you'll never forget who your DARE officer was. You'll always remember that. Quick story, just past weekend I was in Atlanta for a wedding, and a gentleman whose children go to Richland 2 schools, he lives in Northeast, came up to me and introduced himself to me, and he said, I don't want to make you feel bad, but when I was in elementary school, you came to my Joseph Keels Elementary, and you talked about saying, just say no to drugs. And he said, your hair was a little bit longer then, but I've never forgot that. And here this man has got kids now who are going into your schools. We do have an impact, and we have a good positive impact. We want to continue working together. I think we've got a great program. We want to continue doing that. I just appreciate all the partnerships and work that y'all do with your staff. Your principals are great to work with. Your staff that sit back here, and I'm going to have to say something about Cleve. He's a joy to work with. We work with him all the time. He's our contact, and we've got a good program, and we're going to continue to grow our program. We're improving it. We're getting additional training for our school resource officers. It used to be we were allowed to trained the SROs to get them certified. Last couple of years, we haven't been able to do that. The Academy, Criminal Justice Academy hasn't allowed that to happen, so we've brought in the National Association of School Resource Officers. They're coming in and they're going to do specialized training just for Richland County. So we'll be able to make sure that all our officers are up to date on the best training. The SROs are currently at Myrtle Beach right now going through their SRO conference they have, which they go through additional training there. So we want to make sure that we have the best trained officers that we can put in our schools. It takes a unique person to be an SRO. Not everybody can do it. First thing you got to have is you got to love kids, and you got to be able to communicate. They volunteer to be an SRO. They go through training. They get selected. They have to go through a selection process. So not everybody's cut out to be an SRO. We want to make sure that we have our best. Some agencies, that's where they bury their problem officers, is an SRO program to get them off the street. We're totally the opposite. We want our best to be in the schools because that's our most precious resources, our young people. And that's from our elementary schools all the way up to our high schools. So we have the best. The best officers and deputies you have at Richland County are the ones who are in the SRO program. And they love what they do. It's not a job for them. They love it every single day that they go to school, just like all the teachers and administrators that are here. They've got that same love, and that's what we see in our SROs. Glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Sheriff Lott. Board members' questions or comments?
I have a question.
Dr. Johnson, Elkins
I'm a
Johnson.
supporter of the DARE program, and I noticed that we don't have it in all of our elementary schools. Is that because of funding, or is that a principal request?
A lot's got to do with the principal request because they have to allow us to have classroom time. And that's not, that time is not available at all the schools. And that's something that, I would request that we look at, because we shouldn't allow any child to go through the 5th grade and not go through the DARE program.
Absolutely.
We're ready to teach it. We just need the classroom time.
So we just need more classroom time for the 5th graders to have the opportunity to go to the DARE program, but there's no additional funding that we have to.
That's part of what we already fund. And if the SRO at that particular elementary school is not DARE certified, then we have others that we bring in. We have part-time DARE certified officers, and we'll put them in the school. So you'll actually have your SRO there, and you'll have a DARE officer teaching during that period of time.
Dr. Ham, I would love for you to entertain that later with some of the elementary principals that have not taken advantage of that opportunity.
Other
Mr.
questions or
Chair.
comments? Yes, sir, Mr. Plain.
A couple questions, Sheriff Lott. One is on the youth arbitration program, if you'd speak to the recidivism experience you've had with that. And then two, what the presence of the officers, what it means to our community from as far as prevention is concerned.
Okay. The youth arbitration program, again, we track these young people. We track them for years. It's just not, first 6 months we continue since we've been doing this program. 92% success rate. That means 92% of these young people who've been through that program has never got in trouble again. They've never made a bad decision, never been arrested, never been charged for anything. I dare say there's probably not another diversionary program that's got that success rate. So to me, that's one of the most important programs that we've got, and that's why we continue to expand that and get more arbitrators to come in and get them and refer as many young people as we can. We're very unique in the youth arbitration program because it's done by judicial circuits. All other judicial circuits, the programs are run by the solicitor's office, which means that the law enforcement agency makes the arrest. The child's warrant or petition goes to the solicitor's office, and they run the program. Well, they're in the system at that point. So when we started our program, we did it the other way. We run the program. The solicitor allows us to run the program, so we're actually referring them to the youth arbitration program before they are, without arresting them. The solicitor's office doesn't even get involved in it. Again, that's designed to keep them out of the system totally. What the SROs on campus do, I don't know if we can ever put a value on how much they've kept bad guys out of the school or prevented something from happening. We do a lot of studying on when there's a school shooting or incidents at school. The first thing we look at to see is that they had an SRO there. virtually all the incidents at school, there's never been an SRO there. Someone who wants to come on campus with a gun, if they see someone that's their equal, which is a school resource officer or deputy there that's got a gun, they're equal, they're not going to go there. But if they know that there's not anyone there except a principal or a custodian or the staff, then they've got the upper hand. If you look at the school shootings you have, when law enforcement responds, either the bad person commits suicide or they give up. That shows they're not going to confront someone that's equal to them. So that presence on the school makes that school campus safe. It also, we believe, that reduces the crimes that we have that our young people get involved in on schools and then off campus also, because of relationships they deal with SROs. Whenever we find a gun or drugs at a school, that wasn't by accident. That's because some young person is told on somebody else. The majority of our kids want schools to be gun-free and drug-free. And so when they know somebody's got that, they tell, and they know they can go to an SRO or a principal because they developed that relationship. That's what it's all about. So the kids actually police the schools themselves. And that's what we rely on them to do by building that relationship so they know they can trust us to do the right thing.
Other questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to thank you for doing an excellent job for us.
Thank you.
And congratulations on being reelected.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Lott. It's always one of the dangers of bringing another politician in front of us.
Well,
But we
my
appreciate you
election's over
being
for
here.
another 4 years, so I'm good.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
time and for the work that y'all are doing. We look forward to continuing the great partnership.
Again, I want to thank you and congratulate y'all for your commitment to the kids in School District 2. You have a lot of hard decisions to make, but I feel like you always make the right decisions because you have the best interest of the kids in anything that you do. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy 4th to you. All right, next on our agenda is the consent agenda. If I can have a motion.
Move approval.
Move approval by Ms. Brill. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Mackey. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, we'll have the vote at this time. Motion passes 7-0. We have, next on our agenda is the first public participation. I have no one that signed up, but if you'd like to speak before the board, please do so now. Y'all don't move all at once. Nobody came forward for public participation. Next on our agenda is voting on executive session items, student appeals. If I can have a motion.
Mr. Manning, for student one, the only student actually, move that he be placed at Blythewood Academy.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been seconded by Dr. Elkins Johnson. If there's no discussion, we'll have the vote at this time. Motion passes 7-0. Next on our agenda, old business action requested, the approval of the revisions to policy GCC/GDC. Dr. Ham?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, you received at your previous meeting the revisions that we've suggested. We've received no request for revisions to that, so we're asking for your approval for policy GCC and GDC, which has to do with personal leave and absences.
We'll have a motion on approval of the policy revision.
I so move.
Moved by Ms. Brill. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Caution Parker. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, we'll have the vote at this time. And motion passes 7-0. Next on our agenda, item 8.2, approval of our board meeting schedule for the 16-17 school year. Dr. Ham.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in your packet, you received the list of meeting dates for the 16-17 year that we'd like to recommend. Board policy requires that your meetings be on the second and fourth Tuesday unless you designate otherwise by vote. There are a few cases where there were religious holidays and other conflicts with the Tuesday evening. Those changes we have tried to incorporate into the schedule that you'll approve tonight. We're requesting approval.
Can I have a motion?
I move approval.
Move approval on Ms. Brill. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Plank. Is there any discussion on this?
Mr.
item?
Manning?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to simply say I'm really excited to see that we'll be moving into our new R2I2 facility for our board meetings, and that's a great thing. I just wanted to just make that observation and comment. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. That is very exciting. Other questions or comments? Okay.
And I'd like to thank you all for not meeting on a religious holiday night.
Thank you.
And remember that
Yes, ma'am.
in the future.
We will. Thank you very much. And we know if we don't, we'll hear from you. So we'll have the vote at this time. Did everybody vote? Ms. Brill,
It didn't come up?
you got to go out of the,
Oh, okay. Thank you.
oh, there you go. Motion passes 7-0. All right. Next on our agenda, number 9, item 9.1, old business, no action requested, revision to policy IKA and AR-IKAR.
Nancy Gregory will be making this presentation, but as she's coming up, I want to point out to you, this is likely to be the first of a number of changes that will be coming. As you're aware, the state's adopted a new uniform grading policy. We have new testing systems that are being put in place, some of which are yet to be identified. So I think over the coming months and maybe even year, we will be coming back to you repeatedly to address these policies as they need to be changed to comply with the changing state assessment and grading system.
Thank you, Dr. Ham. Good evening, Chairman Manning, board members, Dr. Ham. As Dr. Ham stated, this is just simply reflecting the changes for the state from the 7-point to the 10-point grading scale from elementary to middle high. Earlier, you had a presentation and a lengthy document to explain those changes. So, any questions?
Board
I
members,
just
questions?
have one question.
Dr. Huckins.
Are we going to have a workshop where we invite parents in to inform them of the changes, where they have an opportunity to ask any questions?
Actually, we've worked on an FAQ. There's an FAQ through the state and through Libby's office. We sent out a communication, a pretty lengthy communication explaining it in the spring, actually at the end of the year, and plan communication in the fall. It will also be part of the back-to-school handbook where we always print the scale. It will have the scale, the conversion scale, and all that information. We're working on that right now.
What about part of open house and orientation in some of the schools?
Yes, we will encourage schools to communicate, and communicate.
Now, you use the word encourage.
Well, no, we will work with schools to
Okay.
make sure we
Okay.
communicate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
one of the issues that I raised last time, and we sort of talked about it a little bit, and that was the issue of the possible shift in rankings and status of students. Has there been any more discussion or conversation about that, Ms. Gregory?
No, and, well, somewhat, because we have been in touch with Cheryl Guys, the rep for the high schools. Cheryl, do you want to address anything with?
I know that the State Department is,
Cheryl, come up to the mic, please. I'm sorry.
the State Department is well aware that with the implementation of this, it is going to create some unusual scenarios. One of them, which I know they have not worked out a a firm decision on is you have a student who transfers in from another state who has, let's say, coming in as a senior, is bringing grades that were already on a 10-point scale, but all of our students who are seniors will have 3 years worth of grades weighted on a 7-point scale.
Right.
And so it is going to create some situations that could be very tricky. So we're waiting on more guidance from the State Department, but I'm not sure that there are good answers on that one.
So we have started having conversations. Cheryl is the high school rep, looking at what those scenarios would be so that we're prepared to address those.
That was the only issue I was raising last time, Mr. Chairman. I was not challenging staff when I asked
Sure.
that and felt that there were possible scenarios. I'm glad to hear that I wasn't as crazy as I thought I was.
And as Dr. Ham said, there are many facets or parts to the uniform grading. The
Yeah.
10-point scale is only one piece
Absolutely.
as the State Department works with us over the next year.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Grant. Thank you,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman.
Other questions or comments?
And just to clarify, Mr. Jackson, I think you're asking too about the existing students
Right.
whose class ranking may change.
correct.
From a 7-point to a 10-point scale, that some students who may have been number one on a 7-point scale now
Right, but the
become
10-point
significantly
scale.
lower with the 10-point scale. So I think that was also what you were, just wanted to be specific about that for kids who are already in the district, students rather. Thank you.
Other
Thank
questions or
you.
comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next on our agenda, Dr. Ham, 10.2, report on TransformSC.
Right, all of our high schools are participating now in TransformSC, and Dr. Baron Davis and Dr. Cheryl Guy will be making a presentation about TransformSC.
Good evening, Chairman Manning, members of the
Evening.
board, Dr. Ham. I'm going to give you a report on TransformSC and how it relates to Richland School District 2. Established in May 2013, TransformSC is an education initiative of the South Carolina Council on Competitiveness. It's a collaboration of business leaders, educators, students, parents, and policymakers working to transform the public education system so that every student graduates prepared for careers, college, and citizenship. TransformSC schools and districts are designing, launching, and providing transformative practices in the classroom. Currently, there are 51 schools from 21 districts, as well as 3 entire districts that are a part of the TransformSC network. So what does TransformSC do? It assists and guides schools through implementing their innovation plans, provides access to national experts and opportunities for mentorship between schools that are implementing innovative practices, as well as it supports educators and business leaders, advocating for education innovation, compile results of network schools, and measures the impact of innovation on student success, and it promotes innovative practices that can be replicated across the state. TransformSC has identified 4 innovative practices that help every student, every teacher achieve the profile of the South Carolina graduate in every classroom each and every day. Each school in the TransformSC network creates a culture of innovation and implementation, some combination of innovative practices. Some of these innovative practices are things like project-based learning. And project-based learning integrates traditional subjects like English, mathematics, language arts, science and social studies, etc., in the form of real-world problems for students to solve. In addition to project-based learning, some of the innovative practices are blended learning. This is a hybrid of face-to-face and digital instruction. It gives teachers the capability to instruct students anytime and anywhere. Continuous assessment. With full integration of technology in the classrooms, teachers, parents, and students have the ability to continuously assess students' progress. And last, the competency-based progression. The combination of real-time information and the flexibility of digital content means that students can advance when ready. We've already discussed in previous meetings the profile of an SC graduate, but just as a quick reminder, the profile of the SC graduate, as you may recall, focuses on 3 major areas. World-class knowledge, where the focus is on rigorous standards in language arts and mathematics for career and college readiness. Mastery of multiple languages, STEMs, arts, and social studies. And then the second area focuses world-class skills, where the focus is on creativity and innovation, collaboration and teamwork, communication, information, and technology. And the third and final area of the focus of a high school graduate, SC graduate, is life and career characteristics. And this is where we focus on integrity and self-direction, a global perspective, work ethic, perseverance, and interpersonal skills. So how does a school or district get accepted into TransformSC? To be accepted into TransformSC network, the schools submit a 3-year innovation plan that is evaluated and approved by TransformSC action team, chairs, and staff. Schools in the network commit to creating a culture of innovation and implementing a combination of innovative practices to transform learning and teaching from every student, every day, in every classroom. And as you can see, there are 11 new schools that were added to TransformSC. And of those 11 new schools added this year, all 5 of our high schools have successfully been added to the TransformSC network. How are we meeting the challenge in creating and maintaining a culture of innovation in Richland 2? We're doing this through practices such as what we see, on this slide, through project-based learning, to professional development, personalized learning, blended learning, teacher coaching, and student work exhibition. To give you a brief overview of what it looks like at one of our 5 high schools, I've asked Dr. Cheryl Guy to share with you a little about TransformSC and the culture of innovation, what the culture of innovation means at Westwood High School.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Dr. Ham, Chairman Manning, members of the school board. When I first learned about the TransformSC network in 2013, I thought to myself that Westwood is already using the innovative practices that they advocated. So this year when I became principal, one of my goals was to see Westwood admitted as a member of the TransformSC network. And I will say that we were the first of the 5 high schools to make it. But we're very excited. I wanted to talk a little bit about our innovation plan, because that was the first step. We had to write an innovation plan. We had to describe what we had been doing and what we were planning to do to continue these innovative practices at our school. And ours was set around 3 goals, and those 3 goals, as you hear them, you'll realize that they are aligned with the profile of the South Carolina graduate. The first goal is to engage students with 21st century skills, such as communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking to prepare for future college and career goals. And that, of course, matches up with the world-class skills portion of the profile of the SC graduate. The second goal is to integrate content and instruction from science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Westwood High is a STEAM magnet school, so those are naturally areas that are focused. And of course, they all align with the world-class knowledge portion of the profile of the South Carolina graduate. And then our third goal is to develop students who are good citizens and contributors to their community. And that is aimed at the life and career characteristics portion of the profile. And it's in that third area that I think Westwood has excelled particularly. 3 years ago, our School Improvement Council identified 5 core values that would be known as the Westwood Way values: respect, responsibility, integrity, empathy, and community. And we have those now flying on flags as you enter our campus, and those are things that we talk about. We teach our students, we recognize students and faculty who exemplify those values. We also have a very strong community service program because we want to give students an opportunity to make those connections with the community. So we've held blood drives, conducted roadside cleanups, washed school buses, hosted the Special Olympics, Relay for Life, and many other events. We also work on being good digital citizens. We have iSafe lessons to make sure that students understand how to make good choices when using the internet and to do so safely. And we also offer student leadership classes. And as you know, our student council for 3 consecutive years has been named as the best student council in our classification in the state of South Carolina. So I'm very proud that Westwood has been admitted to the TransformSC network, and I look forward to participating and learning about what other schools in the community are doing, and by sharing our successes as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Board members, questions or comments? Dr. Davis, Dr. Guy, thank you very much for your work on this. I think that, I challenge our board as we go through our strategic initiatives and as we do our work, that now that we are a TransformSC, we've adopted that model, that we should really continue to use that as sort of a lens through which we look at the work that we do and make sure that we stay on point with those items that you mentioned as the goals of the program. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next on our agenda is agenda items for July the 19th. Dr. Ham.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, on the 19th, we'll again meet back here at Polo Road Elementary School. We'll be asking for your approval to the revisions to the grading and assessment system policy that you heard about earlier. You'll get the superintendent's end-of-year report. We'll give you an update on our middle school efforts, an update on R2I2, that's the monthly update that we give you, a report on our behavior intervention continuum and alternatives for discipline, and the second in the series of reports from our IT services department, and this one will focus on business systems.
Board members, questions or comments? Dr. Ham, if we can consider the IT services, I think we were wanting to maybe put that into a workshop so we could really get more in depth on that versus just a high-level report.
Okay, we can take that one off. And
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
For a future board meeting, I'd like to have Dr. Ham and staff to give us an update on the projected enrollment for our high schools for this coming fall.
Okay.
duly noted.
Other items?
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
I would like to have one of our elementary principals come before us at one of the board meetings who have the DARE program and tell us how it's working, so we can make a determination if that's something we'd like to implement in some of the other elementary schools. Since we do have the officers and that's free service, we might as well utilize the funds that we're already paying the sheriff department.
Okay. Other items?
Just confirming that we are going to, in a workshop, address school planning and.
That's right.
numbers and
That's
things
going to be in the workshop in
Okay.
August.
Good deal. Thank you.
Yes. All right, next on our agenda, public participation number 2. Again, no one signed up, but if you'd like to speak before the board, please do so now. And with no one coming forward, we'll move on to board and superintendent comments. As usual, I'll start at my left and work my way to my right. So Dr. Elkins Johnson.
As always, I'll start with the quote, and it's called I Am. I am strong because I know my weaknesses. I am beautiful because I'm aware of my flaws. I am fearless because I learned to recognize illusions from real. I'm wise because I learned from my mistakes. I am a lover because I felt so much hate. And I can laugh because I have known sadness. Love yourself and everything else will fall. Have a great summer.
Thank you, Dr. Elkins Johnson. Mr. Plank?
Yes, happy 4th of July as we celebrate our freedom and our independence. A shout out to Coastal Carolina University for winning the national championship, and with Andrew Beckwith, one of our Blythewood High School graduates, and neat to see that we have a lot of other local or state students who came from our high schools in the state, so it's represented well. I'm excited about that. And again, enjoy your summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Plank. Ms. Brill?
I wanted to point out, I went to an event at Westwood. I think your school was doing a fundraising for the athlete who was severely injured, and that was extremely impressive. I think it was an auction, and the whole community came together and the student body. So you all are doing a great job. Very impressive. Appreciate all that you're doing. And I hope everybody has a healthy, happy 4th of July, and just be safe. Think about safety.
Thank you, Ms. Brill. Ms. Mackey?
With this being our last board meeting, official board meeting for the 2015-16 school year, just want to thank all the people in this room, classroom, teachers, administrators, executive staff, and the people who make the system work for the 27,000 plus students in the district. It's a lot of work. As a product of an educator, I know that your job is never done. You're never officially off duty. So thank you all for all that you've done to make another school year work, and we look forward to working with you again next school year. Thank you all, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey. Dr. Carson Parker?
Just want to wish everyone a very happy, safe 4th of July, and I guess we'll see you in August.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson?
No comment, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Dr. Ham?
I'll be brief, but I want to mention a couple of things. First of all, we have a nutrition program during the summer and a number of locations throughout the school district where students have an opportunity to have meals with us. And in the first 10 days, June 13th to the 24th, Sodexo served 13,774
Wow.
meals.
Wow.
So I think that's a phenomenal service to the children in our community who need that. And I also want to recognize them. They are holding a job fair at the conference center at Columbia Place Mall on July the 13th, and they will be filling 100 positions. So it's a great employment opportunity, and that always enhances our community as well. So thank you, Sodexo Food Services, and the other people who helped coordinate the meals program. Last but not least, happy 4th of July to everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Ham. And I want to close, and I want to thank all of my fellow board members for their support for the last year in the position of chair. Certainly been, at times, a challenging year for the district, but I think at the same time it brought us all closer together. And I think that we're working even harder towards the goals than we have when we started the year. And I appreciate, as others have talked about, the staff and the work that you do. Every bus driver, custodian, principal, whatever your title is, it doesn't matter. You are an important part of this district. And we appreciate the work that every single one of you do every single day for our students and for our community. And I really enjoy the part. I didn't realize when I ran for school board what all we do in a district. And we're just like the military, we're a small village. I mean, we really touch on all aspects of what it takes to run a community within our school system. And so it's, I really appreciate the opportunity to get to know so many folks in that role. But I want to thank the board too for this last year. We've put in a lot of time. I continue to see us grow, and we're working harder and more workshops than we've ever had, and we're continuing to dig even more into the issues. And so thank you for the support, and looking forward to a great 4th of July. I hope you all get a little bit of rest, and looking forward to the now officially, I guess, the new school year, Ms. Mack. So thank you. All right. Dr. Ham, I am at this point going to turn over the remainder of the meeting to you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as you know, the school board's policy is quite prescriptive about how we handle elections. However, before we do that, I'd like to ask you to stand up. It is our tradition to recognize the year of service of our board chairman. So I'd like to present this plank. It says, "Presented to James A. Manning in appreciation for your service as chairman of the Richland School District 2 Board of Trustees, June 15 through June 16, presented June 30, 2016.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. I think we always recognize the service of our board chairman, but I also want to recognize the service of all of our board members. Education is a complex business, so your business is complex, and it is probably the most intensely personal public service because everyone cares so deeply about their own children and about children in general. So thank you to all of you. And a special thank you, Mr. Chairman, to you for your service. It's always an extra challenge to be the board chairman, but I don't need to tell you that some years there are extra challenges, and certainly you provided amazing support and leadership as we saw our way through an incident that had international and national attention for a prolonged period of time. And I think we've come out on the right end of that, and a large part of that is because of the work of the board and your leadership as the board chairman, and the terrible flooding that we experienced and how that impacted our schools and our children and our community and our families. Thank you for your leadership through that as well. So
Thank you.
special thank you to you.
Couldn't do it without the rest of the support of the board, so y'all were the ones that allowed me to get through that. Thank you very much.
And before we actually undertake the election of officers, let me kind of brief everyone on how that proceeds, because it is very specific in your policy about how it will be handled. The first election will be the election of the chairman of board trustees. It's by nomination. You'll find ballots in your materials that are at your place. The yellow one is for chair, the blue one for vice chair, and the green one for the secretary. If there is more than one person who is nominated for the position, then the vote is by ballot. And I'll be asking, I guess, Ms. Avery Hart to assist us with counting those. One of the two of you, if you don't mind, collecting and counting the ballots if we vote by ballot. If there is a single nominee, then the vote can be by show of hands. The election to the office requires a person to receive the majority of the votes. So if there is not a majority vote on the first round of votes, there will be a second round between the top two individuals. Are there any questions about the process? Then I'd like to open the election for the nomination of board chairman.
Mr. Superintendent, I'd like to nominate Mr. James Manning for chairman.
Thank you. Are there any further nominations? Hearing no further nominations, I'll close the nominations, and we may vote on the chairman by show of hands. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. You got to count? Congratulations,
Thank you
Mr.
very
Chairman.
much. Thank you all very
Okay,
much.
the next vote will be for the office of vice chairman, and we'll follow exactly the same procedure. Are there nominations for the office of vice chairman?
Dr. Ham, I'd like to place a nomination in the name of Amelia Mackey for vice chair.
Amelia Mackey is the nominee so far. Are there additional nominations?
I'll second it.
Hearing no further nominations, again, we may vote by the show of hands. Please raise your right hand. Congratulations, Mrs. Mackey.
Congratulations.
The third office is the office of secretary. Are there nominations for the office of secretary?
I nominate Mr. Plank.
Mr. Plank's name is duly noted. Are there further nominations for the office of secretary? Hearing none, please indicate your vote for Mr. Plank by raising your right hand. Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Plank. That concludes the election of officers. Congratulations to all of the officers.
Congratulations. With that being done.
I mean, come on.
I understand. We're between them and their family for 4th of July. So this time I'll have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Have a great 4th. Thank you very much.